persist until the formation of the National Wrestling Alliance in 1948. The NWA as a central governing body, with its singular, undisputed world champion, would be absolute and undeniable. This control, combined with the expansion of the interstate highway system, and the inevitable popularity and availability of regional television, would usher in an era of wrestling that was defined by what would come to be known as the territory system. The territory system would dominate wrestling for nearly 4 decades, while the borders, authority, popularity, and obedience of individual NWA territories was in a near constant state of flux. To this day, the impact and influence of these territories is still felt. Each territory had its own signature promoter and star. While it is impossible to cram these characteristics into a static, concrete map, we are damn sure going to try anyway.
So open up your eyes, way before it gets too late. Now one man, there's no way you can hit the streetlights running, don't give a damn. A simple explanation that you'll never find. Sinners never sacrifice. We never leave love alone. Is hate really worth the price? Look at what we've done. Never care for compromise. Always threatening someone's life, and it feels like the end of the world.
All right, welcome to This Week in Pro Wrestling with your host Mike Monty and Jimmy Farrow. Jimmy, how are you?
Ducky.
Happy New Year's Eve.
Yeah, we're there. Goodbye to this freaking year.
What do you got going on?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Me and the cats. We're going to do some catnip.
So I
Yeah.
will share a little family secret with you.
Family secret.
Yes.
All right, hit it.
At the stroke of midnight,
What?
you have to be up,
Yeah.
okay? The
Yeah.
first thing that you put in your mouth,
Wait a minute.
no, I'm
Is
serious,
this really...
is
you got it?
herring.
Is what?
Herring. You will never
Herring?
be herring. You'll never be penniless. I'm telling you.
Herring.
You can't have a cigarette.
What
You
is it?
can't have a water.
What?
The first thing you put in your mouth at the stroke of midnight
Is herring.
is herring.
Why? Where did this come from?
It's a
What is
old
this, ancient Chinese
it's
secret?
an old Italian
Like Calgon?
tradition.
It's
Calgon.
an ancient Chinese
I know, it's
secret.
pretty funny.
So this is an ancient Italian secret.
is.
Herring.
Try it.
Is there a story behind this? Is there like an
Yeah,
origin?
my mother always told me that, and if you have herring, you'll never be penniless.
Really? Well, you know what's funny? Not to get technical, I'm a poor bastard sometimes in my life, but I've never been actually penniless. Could you imagine actually being penniless? You wouldn't be able to get anything because you're penniless.
Oh my God!
That's
Well,
it.
what can you get with a penny?
I mean, I flirted with this ass.
May I ask you what you could get with a penny?
piece of bubblegum in
No,
1978.
yeah, that's right. You need a time
1978.
machine.
Or you could tape it to that thing in TV Guide and get 30 cassettes for
All
a
right,
penny.
we're turning this into the Monty and the Pharaoh show.
Oh,
We've got a veer.
sorry. Yeah, this is this week
is
in
about
wrestling.
wrestling.
Don't ask me what I'm doing or how I am. Move
Holy cow!
on. Wow.
Karrion Kross
Yeah, what about him?
was glad the WWE released him and Scarlett Bordeaux
glad.
together.
Scarlett Bordeaux.
Bordeaux.
Very
She
good.
hadn't appeared on WWE television for a while before the company let her go, and
Yeah.
an identified health issue, which we found out was that she popped a boobie.
Okay.
Health issue that had her feeling off. Plans were in place for Scarlett to become a manager while she took care of her medical problems.
Oh.
WWE told Scarlett that they wanted her to wrestle. She said the company wanted her back in the ring once she was healthy. It was revealed that Scarlett, this is more recent interview and oral sessions, which I did listen to. Did you have a chance to listen to that
Oral
interview?
sessions?
Yeah, it's the,
With Scarlett?
No, well, yeah, it's Renee.
Wow.
It's Renee.
Renee and Scarlett doing oral sessions?
Along with Karrion Kross.
Oh, never mind. Guy came in and ruined
Did
the whole
you
thing.
watch
He ruined
listen
the whole
to the
thing.
interview at all?
No, I can't say I did.
Okay, so
fill me
that's
in.
basically, they talked about a few things.
All right.
Cross said that when they gave him his gimmick with the whole mask, he laughed. Mm-hmm. He was supposed to wrestle Hardy in like a 10-minute match and like start some sort of a feud, and then when they got in the ring, the ref said, "You've got 90 seconds."
Ooh.
He wasn't pissed off when they told him to do the job for Jeff Hardy. He said he grew up watching Jeff Hardy, and he was perfectly fine with that. But he just realized that he felt like they were trying to destroy his character. And
Okay.
Scarlett said that they realized that they will let go. They were on their way to drop. He was dropping off at Newark Airport. They got a call, and they were both released. And
How's he glad though?
he
You mean
said
you're glad.
So
you're glad you lost your
kind
dream
of taken
job?
out of
Man,
context.
You can't be glad
he
you
said
lost
he
your.
was glad because for months he was feeling like
He was
the end
getting
is
upset.
near.
Right.
The end. It wasn't
The
upset.
end
But
is
he's like
near.
the end is near.
Okay.
And
Right.
I guess listen.
They did. Give
There's
him
nothing
shit.
worse than having a
Garbage
job
treatment when he
wondering when they're
moved
going to
up.
give you the axe.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you feel like the
Do I
axe
know
is
what you
coming?
mean? Who, me? No, of course not.
No, but you know what I mean. It's
Of
like,
course.
You know,
I think
it's-
everybody experiences it at one point or another, probably. Sure.
So,
That had to suck for him.
but I agree with what you said. Like, you're glad you lost your dream
Yeah,
job.
no, you can't be glad about that. That's just covering up for the fact that he's probably pissed as shit. And I wouldn't blame him if he was. He was awesome in NXT. They do this sometimes with some people inexplicably. You were into Cross. You thought he had the whole deal going on, especially with Scarlett with him. I don't understand why they messed that all up, but something happened behind the scenes, obviously, and we know it did.
Well, you said he was having problems behind.
Yeah.
Which he did not
They had
mention
problems
was
with
the-
him behind the scenes. Obviously, something went on.
Well,
Something
what's
had
funny?
to have gone on.
There's a couple of things that we spoke about, though, like you said, right? So I was totally into him, but I think on a couple episodes we discussed how it wasn't working in NXT either.
Right.
Like he wasn't drawing more fans.
Right, he wasn't, and it was actually starting to get a little stale even in NXT. I was like, well, how far can you go with this? Doesn't it really get back to and he wasn't Goldberg, but he was being treated as such as far as wiping out the competition.
And you also
Even
said you didn't think
Goldberg
he was
only-
that good of a wrestler, to be honest, right?
No, he wasn't bad, but he was serviceable. We can get back to that. He was serviceable, but
How about the mic skills?
I didn't see any. I mean, what are we talking about?
That's why I'm turning it to you, brother. I'm going to
didn't-
agree with you. I'm not saying he's a great mic skills.
I don't go, wow. I do think that there's a little something off that is missing from Cross that wasn't missing from Goldberg. Goldberg never had to speak back in the day, and Goldberg actually speaks quite well nowadays, in my opinion.
So do you fall into this
So-
whole thing that Vince sees NXT people and he wants them, he's done with
No,
them because they're not in his vision?
No, I think that if they're not in his vision, that's the way it works out with some of the people that come up from NXT. But let's not forget, Kevin Owens came up from NXT. How's that turned out?
True.
It's turned out
Sammy.
Sami Zayn, man. Talk about a guy who really does not get much respect the way he should. Not from Marks. Marks know who Sammy is, But the mainstream, I don't know if they really understand just what kind of great worker Sammy is. Sammy's a great worker.
He is a great
He's
worker.
a great talker. He will someday make a great manager if he chooses to be, and he would also make a great color commentator. Sami Zayn is just a beautiful thing in this business, and he's bigger than you think. I've seen him in person, and I was like, wow, he is a fairly big guy.
It's funny. It's
He
funny.
plays
'cause you-
weaselly,
you-
which makes him seem smaller.
You, for the
but-
longest time, have been praising him, and I was
Yeah.
kind of not so
Yeah.
into him. But I got to
Yeah.
tell you,
Sammy's a good
he's
worker.
like a serviceable running back on your football team,
sure
right? It's
is.
like
That's
when
a
you
great
need someone to
analogy.
run the ball,
Yeah.
give it to Sammy Zayn.
Franco Harris had Rocky Blyer, so I look at Sammy like, yeah, well, there's Rocky Blyer.
There you go.
A lot
a
of
good point.
rings between those two.
Very good.
Franco and Rocky.
On Wednesday, Toni Storm reportedly gone from the WWE after requesting her release. Toni Storm has been released from the WWE just days after coming up short in a WWE SmackDown Women's Championship match against Charlotte. Storm, who reportedly flew herself home from Baltimore, requested a release.
Very interesting.
Are we looking at wrestlers nowadays that don't want to be entertainers? They just want to be wrestlers, and they just want to quit? I don't even get that. It's like, I'm done.
Here's what's weird to me. And I never really asked you your take on Toni Storm, but we might as well go over it since
Sure.
she's the subject. Toni Storm, to me, I find this interesting, is a better version, if properly booked and presented, than the one who's really getting the opportunity that I think Toni Storm should have been given, Liv Morgan.
Oh my God, I can't believe you just said that.
Liv Morgan. And that doesn't mean Liv Morgan is doing a bad job. She's doing fine. She's doing
done.
fine. She's
Well
doing
done.
fine. But Toni Storm, to me, had much more it factor naturally. And I feel like she could have been, if booked correctly, she could have been really, really good.
This didn't surprise me, though,
So
Jimmy.
and they were doing bad shit with Tony Storm. The pie, the whole thing. That's not Tony Storm. That's not what gets Tony Storm working in the Indies or in NXT or whatever.
Right.
What are you doing? Again, they're doing things they shouldn't be. So does it come down to her wanting to be just a wrestler in this particular case? Yeah, after the shit they handed her.
Right.
And even Bray Wyatt had this happen with him. That's why he's gone somewhat. As far as the reasons why Bray's gone, I'm sure this is part of it, where Bray was like, you're going to make me do what?
Right.
I got to do what? You know what I mean? Some people don't mind the entertainment if they feel it aligns with their character. When your character, you feel, is the wrestler themselves, is being compromised, that's got to drive. Could you imagine if somebody was telling us, hey, we love your stick, you've gotten to this point, we want you to do this, and we both know in our gut, we're jumping the shark. What are they doing to us? That's rough, bro.
But again, it comes if they're paying you.
Well, hey, we'll take that money and eat the shark
If someone, that's
at
what
the
I'm saying. If
restaurant. I
someone
understand that, but you know what, though? I do think that we was, as people, like let's say we're sitting in a diner and having a real conversation between each other as to what the company has decided to do with us. All of a sudden, you and I are wearing balloon party favor hats instead of, and we know it's not, what are you doing to us? I'm sure, and I bet you'll go, that's all right, next contract we'll negotiate for more money because we wound up wearing these stupid hats. We'll tell them we were loyal, now reward us.
You got two different situations, and you got Cross, who followed the script and got let go, and you got Tony Storm, who seems like she didn't like the script, so she left.
Well, Cross didn't like it either, and I'm sure they both.
But he hung in there.
He hung in there for not long, dude. That was not long, man. Hanging in there.
How about this?
Hanging in there is like really hanging
Tell
in,
me
like
if you
Dolph
buy-
Ziggler.
tell me if you
After
buy into
everything he'd
this.
accomplished, they threw him back in his spirit squad.
But tell me if you buy into this whole idea.
Yeah. Daniel Bryan.
Is there a point where Tony Storm,
Yeah.
like, okay,
Yeah,
you're
maybe.
playing on a softball team,
Daniel
right?
Bryan wanted to be a wrestler.
You're playing on your
So,
softball
that's
team.
your point.
You're playing on your softball team.
Okay.
You're the star of your
Wow,
softball
I'm young
team.
again. Go on.
Okay,
I like this.
You're the star.
That's good.
Then they move you up.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you start playing with guys that you're
Yeah.
like, oh, they're much better.
Yeah.
Do you think, because I will tell you, the Charlotte Storm match that they had on Christmas Eve, clearly Storm was
Charlotte is
outclassed.
Of course, because that's Charlotte.
Do you think
Tony Storm's
Storm
good wrestler, though.
looks at her go, you know what? I'm not good enough for this.
I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about. I think Tony Storm.
People have a tendency to
a
quit
good
when they
wrestler.
don't think they're good enough for something.
I don't think that that's the case in this particular thing. I just think that the booking was not in her alley.
Wait a minute,
She was
but then how do
becoming-
you come off
know.
wrestling Charlotte Flair
Yeah.
and then quitting? They just gave you a pretty decent push. I understand you got pinned quickly,
Right.
and it didn't go into this
Right.
massive program like the Live.
Right.
They
really haven't been giving her much. This was just a quick little, how you doing? That was.
No, I
pretty
think
much
this
it.
was a quick little, let's see what you got.
Right.
You're not that good.
Right. Well, how do you know that she's just not taking the Ruby Riot Highway? Because it looks similar to me.
What's the Ruby Riot Highway?
Ruby Riot had talent. You knew she could wrestle. She got a quick program with Charlotte and off into the. Maybe Tony Storm didn't want to wait for those extra 6 months after Ruby Riot had her moment, and then it was like, "Hi, I'm Ruby Riot," for the next 6 months. Maybe Tony Storm saw the writing on the wall. Maybe she was like, "I don't want to hang around for this shit,"
Well, whatever.
Maybe. I really don't care either way. I got to be honest. I don't think that the women's division is hurt by this.
No.
If that makes any sense. And was there really room for Tony Storm at the end of the day? Now with what they're doing with Liv Morgan, I feel like that's a spot that a Tony Storm could take.
There's a lot of different avenues. I think a lot of times.
I'm glad they're giving Liv the push.
But I also think.
Screw it.
But Liv, listen, dude, with all due respect, she's not good on the mic.
She is not.
She's not a good wrestler.
I think Tony
she's
Storm would have
not-
been a better experiment.
I think you're 100%
That's
right.
all I'm trying to say.
You're
with all of
100%
that,
right.
And at the end of the day, she probably did leave because she didn't like the creative
But
direction for
Liv
herself.
is weak.
Yes, I don't
And
think.
she's a very pretty girl. don't get me wrong.
she's fine.
And I mean, Becky's doing her best.
Becky is doing her best.
her
More
best.
Alexa Bliss in the ring, please.
I agree.
I mean, come on, let's get Alexa. Bliss.
All right, speaking about day one, where we're going to start over, I'll start from the bottom going to the
Day
top.
one.
All right, just give me what you think's going to happen. This is pretty
I
easy,
don't
right?
know. I hate
know it
predictions.
doesn't matter. This isn't predictions. Just
I
tell
don't
me
like
what you
predictions.
think.
What do I
Cesaro and Ricochet versus Sheamus and Ridge Holland.
Cesaro and Ricochet. Why the hell would Sheamus and Ridge Holland lose to Cesaro and Ricochet? Aren't they trying to give a little rub there to this Ridge Holland fella there?
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, logically,
pretty
but who the
easy
hell?
peasy?
Yeah, you would think, but you never know what the silly booking.
This one is tough, but it's not tough.
Yeah.
Raw Tag Team Champions, RKO Bro against the Street Profits.
Well, I don't know when there's going to be the turn between RK Bro, but I logically would think RK Bro would continue, but who knows?
But what about the Street Profits? They perform, dude. They can wrestle. Those guys are
Oh,
good.
of course
man.
they could. They've been tag team champions, the Street Profits. So is this the time for them to take it back? I'm not so
You
sure.
can't take it from RK Bro.
That's what
right
I'm
now.
saying.
It's the
There
hottest team you got
there
going
has
on.
to be something that happens between Randy and Riddle.
already.
You know?
I think they've got to keep them together. Man.
Eventually.
Then they're all the WWE Pro Wrestling Experts. But they ruin everything that's
You think
good.
they'll hold the belts till WrestleMania?
Gotta.
Because I was almost thinking they'd fight each other at WrestleMania.
No,
SummerSlam,
can't.
huh? They're
Yeah.
going to fight each other at SummerSlam.
Gotta
That's a
gotta hang
secondary
in there.
feud, huh? SummerSlam.
think so.
Yeah, you might be right, Rabbit. Go on.
McIntyre versus Madcap Moss. I'm not getting the Madcap Moss guy, dude. I gotta be honest with
You
you.
don't like Madcap Moss?
Not a big fan.
What's wrong with you?
Do you like it?
It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. It's great. It might as well be 1927 with Laurel and Hardy. I love it. It's so dumb. It's
Edge and
dumb.
The Miz.
Wait a minute. You didn't say who would win. You don't think Madcap Moss
No
has
chance.
a chance?
Next, Edge and The Miz.
That's cool, man. Edge. Yeah, that's cool. I could deal with that.
Miz keeps hanging in there, man.
The Miz
Did
is
you like
an
the wedding with
entertaining
the,
pain in the ass. Yeah,
the
the Miz
blood?
is man. The Miz is ridiculous.
So is Maurice.
Maurice is wonderful.
I think Edge and Miz might be a draw. I think there'll be Maurice interferes. Maurice interferes, and then Beth
What are they
Phoenix
gonna
has got to
settle?
get
When are they
involved,
settling
right?
this damn feud?
No, this is going to WrestleMania.
Edge and the Miz all the way to WrestleMania.
Yeah, absolutely.
What the hell is that? Did you hear that?
It's a ghost.
Is that what that was?
SmackDown,
Go on.
Usos against the New Day. We can't have a switch over again.
No, there's no switch over. No sway. The Usos.
Becky Lynch, Liv Morgan. I think we covered that.
Yeah, I
enough.
think we did too. Yeah,
All right.
Becky Lynch.
Big E and Seth Rollins.
That's not his name.
Kevin Owens.
That's not his name.
What is it?
They officially changed it
What is
this
it?
week in wrestling. You didn't hear about this?
No, I did not.
This is not a joke. Seth Rollins' name has been changed on WWE.com. He has a new name. Once upon a time, he was Tyler Black.
Right.
Then he became Seth Rollins. But let's get it clear now because it's been said anyway for years. His official name is now Seth freaking Rollins.
It's in that freaking round.
How do you like them apples? I think that's fantastic.
All right, so who's winning this four-way?
Seth freaking Rollins.
Wow.
What, he shouldn't? Are you going to win it at WrestleMania? Because I feel like the belt is eventually coming to Seth freaking Rollins. You don't think they give Kevin Owens a surprise reward? Here's the
I don't
belt.
think they could
I
take
don't
the
think
belt
so.
off of Big E this early, man.
Why? What's so great about Big E's?
You didn't give him a chance.
He's been champion for a while. Next.
I think Lashley
Are you a
gets
big
the belt
Big
back.
E fan?
No, not really.
No, that's what I'm saying. So put it on Seth Rollins because you want to have a champion at WrestleMania like Seth Rollins. Seth freaking Rollins. I'm sorry,
And
Seth.
then what, you turn Lashley babyface?
Wow, that sounds boring.
That does sound
I'm a
bad.
baby face. No, Bobby Lashley should never be a good
All right,
guy.
you're going with Rollins. I'm going with Lashley.
That would be cool.
All right, here's the big one. This is the one that you're just waiting for. It doesn't matter about everything else before it, right?
I can't call this match.
Reigns and
I
Lesnar.
can't, you can't have a winner, can you?
I
it Brock?
No. I am.
What is it?
Heyman
The whole
turns
thing was
on
a
Brock.
right.
It's a-
There was
it's a
just right.
swerve.
That makes sense to me. Yeah, it's
gotta be.
But that's it, though. Lesnar just goes away.
Oh no, he comes back and wins the Rumble. This is going to WrestleMania. This is the
Right,
main event.
Right.
This
So
is just going to
Lesnar's-
keep going.
I could see that.
Because again,
happening.
he didn't lose fairly, just
I can
like
see
the
that.
last match. He
I can-
didn't lose fairly.
Yeah. What-
Eventually, WrestleMania,
I'll tell
he
you what,
gets
though.
what he
I'll
gets
tell you
what
what,
he
though.
wants.
If Lesnar's going to win that Royal Rumble, he better pray to God that a surprise entrant doesn't come in. Because if this guy comes in, Lesnar's done.
Who?
Hook. Have you seen this guy?
Oh my God!
Have you seen him? You haven't seen Hook? It's that kid who stole your newspaper yesterday off your front yard.
Well, the one thing's for sure: if they throw him over the top rope, he won't go over.
What do you mean?
He just won't. They won't let be thrown over.
That's true.
All right, with that, we're out of
True.
time.
He'll pop right back
Happy
up.
New Year, everybody! Catch SmackDown and catch Rampage, and have a safe and healthy.
Yeah, this is the Pharaoh. Happy New Year from This Week in Wrestling. And until next time, we'll see you next year. Later.